And we're back, episode 6, I think, of Morning Shootaround, and the regular cast of characters once again. It's Christian Del Bianco, it's Tyler Pace. Usually I could say the man who built the place, Tyler Pace, but we're in a top secret facility here on our new location currently. So not the guy who built the place, but back for another episode, of course. And are
we in a secret place? Yeah, top secret.
Top secret location. And our man of the hour, our special guest, a man of many hats, Mr. Reid Reinholdt. Welcome to Morning Shootaround.
Thanks for having me.
Good start.
Yeah. Let's pay some bills before we get too far, though, because this episode, although not in the Performance Center, as always, is brought to you by the Performance Center. We're also brought to you in part by Extreme Threads. With over 15 years of industry-leading customer service, a local family-owned and operated business, Extreme is your one-stop shop for all your business and team apparel needs. Specializing in custom sublimated team uniforms worn by teams and clubs around the world. Contact them today to customize your team with Extreme. We are also brought to you in part by PANAM Contracting. If you are looking for top-notch flooring that you can trust, PANAM Contracting has you covered. Whether it's your home or business, they specialize in both commercial and residential flooring across British Columbia. 3 things set them apart from the rest: reliability, quality, and speed. PANAM Contracting gets the job done right, and they get it done fast. If you need flooring that looks great and lasts, find their email in the description of this episode and receive your quote today. PANAM Contracting, your go-to flooring experts. And, of course, the logo's finally on display, held up by
Christian's stinky goalie tape.
The finest hockey tape you'll ever
we could find.
All right, Reid Reinholdt, welcome to the show. As mentioned, a man of many hats. And as you said before we started recording, your first ever live on location podcast. How's it feel to be here?
Yeah, I like it. This is quite the setup you guys got. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, long commute. Made the drive up the hill. Maybe walked it. I don't know.
I probably should have walked, but I did drive.
Go.
So your official title with the Players Association is Vice President and Executive Director, correct?
That's right.
And but I mean, arguably more importantly, girl dad, if I'm not mistaken. How's father life been treating you?
It's good. It's flown by. I can't believe she turned a year, last week. So it's been really enjoyable. I'm loving it so far.
Something I mean, I kind of thought this when it all happened, but I was kind of reminded of it today when I was doing some notes. When like you kind of announced that you were retiring from playing in the National Lacrosse League, I kind of felt like it was news that just kind of like snuck out there. Like it wasn't as public as some other people when they announced their retirement. How, I mean, I imagine the answer is very difficult, but like how difficult of a decision was that for you to officially hang up the gloves for your playing career?
Yeah, it's obviously a tough one. It's a big part of your life. For me, it was friends, education, everything along the way. So it's a big decision stepping away, but for me, it was time. Got to play in Toronto for a couple of years, then down in Vegas with my brother, which was really nice. And, while down in Vegas, moved from offense to defense, and then released partway through the year just as I was having my kid. And so it just felt like, it's time to turn the chapter to family. And with the CBA coming up this year, it's sort of nice not playing, being able to put my full focus on that.
Yeah, and there's going to be, I'm sure, a ton of CBA discussion on this episode. Was that, you mentioned playing with your brother. Was that the first time that you guys had ever gotten to play together? Like, I'm not sure what the age gap is there between you two.
Yeah, it's 2 years, so we just missed each other all growing up. But we played together for a year at Limestone College down in South Carolina, and then that was essentially the second time.
How was it playing with him?
It was good. At first, opposite ends of the ball, but at the end, we were both playing defense together and on the same side, so it was kind of fun. It was great being able to travel with him and stuff like that. He lived in Calgary for 10 years, so it was nice for us to both be here in BC and traveling together and doing all that.
You guys like pretty hard on each other. If you guys are playing like defense together, are you guys like getting after each other on the bench and stuff?
A little bit, I would say. I didn't really know what I was talking about, so I couldn't say too much.
Reid's like, I had my guy.
I'm just trying to stay between my guy and the net. But yeah, he was
logic.
Often giving me pointers and telling me when I was wrong, but he was pretty good about it.
I guess like as a traditionally offensive guy, like I know a lot of offensive players typically when they get stuck back playing defense, oftentimes you like go to the strong side and go low or whatever. I guess like you can't really in that position like hide anymore if you're being deployed as a defender.
Yeah, I think they tried to hide me as best they could, but I think we were all pretty exposed back there. Sato was great when I first changed in my first year at Vegas. When I first changed to D, I thought he was super helpful. He gave a really clear system, and I felt like it was easy to learn. And then by the second year, I felt less confident and sort of struggled a bit more.
So you struggled in your set. So after having a stint with it, did you find that it was more difficult then, like after you had already had some experience with it?
Yeah, I did, which was sort of weird because I came home and focused on playing defense in that summer as well. But yeah, it was something about, sort of changing our defensive system that I struggled to wrap my head around. There was a lot of sort of contradicting movements you're supposed to do. I didn't know when I was supposed to shoot, when I was supposed to do other things. So I struggled with that part.
It's pretty interesting, especially coming off of like last week's episode with Keegan Bell. And I don't know if you listened to it, but he was talking about one of the things that he struggled with the most when going back to playing defense full time was the footwork. Like that's the thing that he found or has found been the biggest learning curve. Do you like agree with that? Is there something else that you found that's been a little bit trickier to learn?
I think I was just overthinking things a lot of the time. He was saying that he started to learn how to read plays and stuff like that, and I was trying to do that all the time.
Too smart.
And sometimes you just got to be
Too smart to be a D guy. Just got to be a dog.
Just got to attack.
See ball, chase ball.
Yeah, that's what I realized. Like you just got to go sometimes. Just be aggressive and yeah.
Yeah, Subi's watching this like fucking right.
The best defense is offense for sure.
Yeah, and just before we change topic, like you had like some productive years as an O guy. Like it feels like in Toronto, you had a couple really good years. You were always good around the crease and lots of exciting dunk goals. I feel like you had like a nickname there too in Toronto. You remember it?
I do remember it.
You don't wanna share it? I don't know it. I don't remember it. What was it?
It was Mr. Clutch.
Mr.
No way.
Damn. Mr. Clutch.
Oh man.
You secretly gave that to yourself and like snuck it into the PA guys' notes.
It started when it was my first year there, and we had a game in Georgia, and I got the game tying goal and then the overtime goal, and then we had a back-to-back game in Toronto, and when I ran out for that, that's what they called me.
And it just stuck for 5 years.
I guess, yeah.
That's sick.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
Did they call you that in Vegas then too?
Going out of the back end.
Mysterious.
He's back.
I think they were like, this guy is pretty bad.
Yeah, they're
Gotta
hoping to
drop the nickname.
Yeah, turn back the time.
Here he is, Tor Reinholdt.
They tried to call us the Bash Brothers, but like we do not deserve that name.
I mean, Torper's pretty great. Torper played like you guys had a couple games where I feel like you guys mixed it up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Wires
it,
crossed a bit sometimes.
It happens, yeah.
We can transition into some of the Players Association stuff here, but I'm sure you've been asked this before in the past. When you're still in your playing days and you're also in this role as vice president of the Players Association, is that weird for you at all that you're going after these guys, especially in the defensive role, like you're, I don't know, like heavy cross checks, like whatever, and then, you also have to defend these guys in some other cases. Like, is that kind of a weird thing to wrap your head around in the moment?
Yeah, I think I was a little less greasy after I got into my role. I didn't want to make too many enemies, I guess, out there. But I think the most important part was just keep separating yourself from disciplinary action, making sure that we had an independent group making all those calls. So once we separated ourselves, both Zach and I, from that, a lot of the interest just sort of aligned with the players. So it actually was okay.
Yeah, I guess you guys couldn't be like disputing your own suspensions and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, no. Somebody greases you from behind. That's got to be 7 games.
I also don't think, like, as players, it's not really, we're just concerned about, like, is there somebody that's representing us the best that they can? And Reid and Zach have done an amazing job of that, whether they're playing in the league or they're not. I think that they've done a really good job of, like, separating themselves from, like, separating their roles as PA president and vice president from their roles as players in the league. So it's been there hasn't been like an issue that I've heard of where it's like, well, you're a player on Toronto, so of course you're going to do this, or you're a player on Vegas, or you're a player on San Diego, so of course this is the decision. And that's been positive. Like, it's a positive thing for us. And then the fact that they are in the league, they see day-to-day stuff, what's happening, I think is a benefit to us, because it's like, these are the problems that we're having, and these are the people that are dealing with it like firsthand. So it's nice.
So, I mean, I would love to get like both of your guys' Delbs and Pacer, your perspective on this, but Tyler specifically, because you are the representative for Calgary. You mentioned that like they do a great job of representing the players and stuff. Like, what are the things that Reid and Zach Currier are doing to represent you guys?
I think mostly it's like the being in the negotiating room with the owners and with our like legal team internally, just being in that room and understanding the CBA completely, because as much as I try to understand it and I want to know like every little detail, I just don't have the time or care that much. So Reid and Zach being kind of the ones that we can trust to know like, hey, these guys are like this is their job, and they're doing a lot of work to understand every comma and every period that's in that CBA to then argue those points on behalf of the players. And again, them being players themselves or recently players themselves, it's a big, we trust their decisions, whatever it is that they want to decide. We trust it because we know that they have the player's best interest in mind.
Yeah, I think adding to all that stuff, it's like, I can't tell you the amount of times I've texted Reid saying, hey, so-and-so asked me a question. I didn't have the answer, passed along your number. Hope that's okay. Right? So I've probably done that 20 to 30 times with young guys that are coming to the league. And I think that's something that really changed when him and Zach took over, where they're just accessible to the players, right? It's like something that, like, even if it's a small question or a big question, they're there. They're unbiased most of the times. They separate the fact that obviously they've played for certain teams and they know stuff like that. But it makes a big difference when you feel like the people that are representing you also can relate to you. They care about you. Obviously, they have tons of relationships in the leagues with guys that are friends, buddies, right? Like, I don't think you get elected into that position if you're not a well-respected and liked player. And obviously with CBA coming up, that kind of things, it's going to be a big summer for Reid, right? I don't think it'll be quite the extreme that we may have heard with some of these holdout things and all of that, but I don't think I'll say too much more before I put my foot in my mouth.
Well, I mean, that's a good transition, because Delbs mentioned like like you jumping into this role, or you wouldn't have gotten I don't know if nominated is the right word, but basically let's dive into how you came into this role, how you and Zach Currier took over as president and vice president. From what I understand, you went to law school, you passed the bar and stuff like that, and then
Beast.
more or less like this is your first like legal job. Is that correct?
I worked at a firm beforehand just during articling.
Should do some more prep, I guess.
In your face. One Google search.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of right, because it's more of an internship while you're doing the
Didn't check the
articling.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, suck it, Tyler. Continue.
But yeah, finished all that up and was still playing and sort of balancing those things. And I was a player rep for a number of years, and there just felt like a bit of a disconnect between our union leadership and the players. And I had met with a lot of different guys who had similar complaints. And so we got sort of a group together that was hoping to make a bit of a change. I wasn't planning to do it full time originally. But as it kind of came down to it, as the cookie crumbled, Zach and I were the ones that kind of stepped up and were willing to put our necks out there and run for the positions. And luckily, like these guys said, we had a lot of support from the players. We got elected in those roles a few years ago and have just been kind of running with it ever since.
What was that process like? Because I imagine you're saying you had to like run, I assume, against the previous kind of regime. Like, had you had any kind of experience in like sort of politics, like running against kind of another party?
What do you got?
Then I was just thinking,
He just puts it close to his mouth to laugh. That's what I'm
just want
saying.
to giggle.
picturing Reid doing the Trump dance up there.
Yeah, I said I'm going to make the PA great again. No, it was super awkward. It's not something I enjoyed by any means. it's not, I guess it feels like you're bragging or whatever. You're going up there and you're trying to sell yourself and be political, but really you just want to get across that, you have a plan in place. This is where you see it going. I really didn't want to put down the other group at all. So I tried to focus on just what we were going to be doing. And yeah, we just met with every team and talked to players individually, gave calls to guys if they had questions, tried to show them our vision, and we were able to muster up just enough support to win.
What was the vote split? Do we know that? What was the percentage?
It was really close. Yeah.
He has it on his fridge, a little magnet with the results.
We do have a printout, like official results. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did either of you guys vote for the opposing party?
Delbs did.
Yeah,
No.
I figured.
Suckamore.
I think Delbs split. You went.
Yeah, I went
Peter Schmidt.
split down the middle.
Some people did.
The one thing I will say that was kind of weird in the whole scheme, and not to put down like the previous regime, but it was like they called you before the election, and it was the first time. Like I was in the league, I think at like 4 or 5 years at that point. That was the first time I've ever talked to them. Really, it's like this feels like you're trying to sell me a used car right now, guys.
Yeah, and I don't want to take away from what my predecessors did. They got us this far. They started the union. They did a really good job for a long time. So, there's always time to move on and transition to different leadership and stuff like that. But they did a really good job while they were in the roles that they were in.
And if I'm not mistaken, like one of your guys' first tasks that you went after was changing the title from the PLPA to the NLLPA. Why was that something that was like an early priority for the group?
We just wanted to have alignment with the league we were representing. The PHPA represents the ECHL and the AHL, and that's sort of where the PLPA came from. I think there was always an idea to unionize the outdoor league one day, but we wanted to focus on the indoor league, the NLL, let everybody know that. And if in the future we want to unionize another league, then we still have the parent company of the PLPA, and then there can be two sort of subsidiaries, if you will.
Pacer would have just named it the Pro Caliber Players Association.
That's right. And we'd be represented well.
Yeah.
Keep
You have to wear green.
That's good.
Are you announcing that you guys are running next then? Is that what that
Yeah,
was?
this is my official announcement. I'll be running for president.
Look out. President of what?
Just president.
President of the league.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's already been kind of alluded to earlier, but it's been about 4 months since the Jamie Dawick interview that kind of blew up, calling the upcoming CBA negotiations World War III, and he essentially said to fans, enjoy this season kind of thing. And obviously a lot of alarm bells from people in the media, fans as well. I would imagine at the time players, like I don't know if you guys can chime in on that as well. But the last time I spoke with you, it was I don't want to say that your messaging, like your and Zach's messaging, was dismissive in any sense, but it was immediately following, and you guys were giving like the corporate kind of answers, like the very political kind of answers. How have the negotiations or discussions progressed since then, now that we are about 4 months removed from those comments?
Yeah, good question.
Nice question.
Thank you.
Really good. Good job, Tino.
Thank you.
It's mostly been a fact-finding mission, doing our due diligence, going through the financials with a fine-tooth comb. And by financials, I mean the ones that we were provided with. But honestly, the league puts us in a difficult position with the amount of transparency they provide us. It's a difficult position to negotiate from. And so we were just waiting to get all the information, look over it with our auditors, the Renaissance Group, be very pragmatic, talk to our stakeholders, and then come up with a proposal. So we're meeting with the executive committee soon, which is all the player reps, or a player rep from every team, and we're going to discuss our proposal with them. And if nothing too drastic comes from that chat, we'll be sending something over pretty shortly here.
One thing I will say just on the Jamie front, like you and Jamie are close. Like Jamie was at your wedding, like all of that. So if Jamie's having some issues here, I think Reid's the person that can solve it, hopefully.
Yeah, we've talked on the phone and stuff, and I get where he's coming from. Everybody's panics during CBA negotiations. It's it's a concern for the players, the people who work during the games. GMs, everybody, coaches. So I understand everybody's concerned, but we just have to follow our process and just do the right thing for the guys.
One of the things you said there was it seemed very specific that you said with like the financials that you guys have been provided. Does that like imply that you guys are still like there are still things that you guys haven't received or you're still waiting to receive, or if you can even answer that question?
I think we've been given everything that we're going to be given heading into this negotiation. Hopefully in the future it can change and we can start off more educated at where the league stands. I wish there was a bit more transparency, but it's just the nature of where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Christian kind of alluded to it in an earlier episode, but that's like our biggest complaint, I guess, as players is like we go and play. You look at a place like Buffalo, a place like Colorado, a place like Calgary, and you can see 10,000+ people. Now Vancouver's turning into a hot market. Toronto is a pretty hot market. Halifax is a pretty hot market. And it's like we see the ticket sales. We know who owns the building. We know who owns the concession. And it's like, okay, how can it be that they're telling us they're in the red all the time? So there's this lack of like, we need to see some of these numbers in order to fully understand where the league is at and where these owners, like they say they're struggling. Are they really struggling, or are we like what's the deal here? Because us as players, it's like we want to be paid more money. We think we've earned it. We see the product on the floor is at its highest it's ever been, and the ticket sales are at the highest they've ever been. So what's the like where can we move forward here? And I think that's where there's a bit of a disconnect between owners and players at the moment.
I mean, this probably falls into the transparency category, I would say, but as like somebody on the media side of things, but also like fans of the sport, like buddies of mine bring this up all the time to me of like why can't we see player salaries? And this I've brought this up to you before, so I'm pretty sure that this is, I don't know if a priority is the right word, but something that you guys have looked into. But I know that there are a ton of people, myself included, that would love to be able to have that information, not for the sake of just being able to like see like what Delbs is making, but for the sake of having conversations, like especially, talk about trade deadline time. And this year it was one of the most electric trade deadlines that I've ever seen, but even in the offseason free agency as well, to be able to try to put together the pieces a little bit like you see in the NHL or in all these other professional leagues as to, like what are teams at in terms of the salary cap, like what can they afford, like maybe they're trading this guy to be able to move a piece to bring this person in and so on and so on. Does that continue to be something that the PA is trying to push towards, is to make player salaries public?
Yeah, I mean, we provide them to the players. They have access to everyone's individual contract, as well as there's a spreadsheet where it lays it out pretty good. It is difficult with our league because it's not as cut and dry as some other ones, with a hard cap and all these things. We have players who work for the teams with off-field employment agreements, and there's just a lot of kind of unique stuff with our league that if you were to pull up, cap friendly like you would with the NHL or something like that, it's pretty clear where the money is, how many years are left. But our league is so unique. Contracts aren't guaranteed, so you can have a 3-year thing, and the next thing you know, you're cut. I would like to get it public, but it just feels like it would be misunderstood a little bit. I think the first step for us would be to get the CBA public, just get people talking about it. I think if you do make salaries public, it'll at least make players more conscious of what they're making compared to other people, because they'll see it on Twitter. You'll point out, hey, Delbs is making less than so-and-so or something like that. So I would like to have it public. It's just, doing it in the right way.
Yeah, I'm just going to cut Tyler off here. I think a part of that is like the salaries might be lower than some people think, right? And I'm not saying that that's like a poor us, blah, 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 we need more money, all that. it's just the reality of where our league is yeah, you go to Buffalo and there's 18,000 fans and it seems like it's like the next major sport, all that. But there is guys that are probably making 15 grand, right? Like that's part of it. We're in a period where not every person in our league can make a full-time salary, and there probably will be a middle ground where maybe we're getting towards full-time salary, but it might not be this rate it's not going to be $1 million. I can tell you that. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but that's just kind of my take on it.
Do you think, Reid, that if the salaries were made public, that we would gain like support from people, like spectators and fans and other people that are like, oh, hold on, like that person's only making that much money? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think so. I think, Wikipedia is not right. When you look at that, you're like, oh my goodness.
I'm rich on Wikipedia.
Yeah, so I do think it would be helpful, especially when it comes to CBA negotiations. It's not like we're sitting here asking for millions of dollars. We're asking for our entire team to be paid a fraction of what you pay one NHL player. So, yeah, I think it would help with public sentiment.
And again, we're going to be able to cut stuff if you want to cut stuff after, but like for comparison,
Cut that.
Get it out, right? Today, Junior.
for comparison, like I play for Calgary, and our entire team's salary is less than an NHL, less than the Flames rookie contract.
It's less than their top defender on the HL team.
Like our entire team makes less money than one player on the Calgary Flames, and we're still in this like, well, we're not going to pay you any more money. It's like, what are you talking about? So I don't know. It's like a problem. I think if people understood that a little bit more and could see it, maybe then it's like, oh, these guys have a point. Like instead of them being like, why are they complaining all the time? Why are they holding out? Why are they doing this? It's like, well, this is why.
Yeah, and our salary cap, it's a soft cap, but I don't think anybody could tell you why it is what it is. Like, I don't think anybody could say it's this number because of X, Y, and Z. So, I mean, that's, going back to a bigger picture of financials and stuff like that, but there's really no rhyme or reason for what we get paid. It'll be interesting if that changes in the future, but yeah, it's sort of just picking a name or a number out of a hat, it feels like.
I will say as well, like something, and again, like I'm so far removed from being in the know and to the extent that you guys are, but whenever like friends of mine have brought up, what's the average NLL salary kind of thing, the rumor that I've literally heard this number for probably 10 years was that I think it's like roughly $30K a year, like ish. But I've had no visual evidence of that. It's just a rumor that I heard somewhere, and then other people have nobody from the league, but just friends of mine that have also heard that same thing also bring up that same number. So I think it would be massive for that, something like that to be in the public eye, for this to be an ongoing discussion, because then it's not just fans having a discussion of like, oh, I think this is what they make. They should make way more. Then they can have something to point to and say like, yeah, like how is this person not making way more, considering like Dyson Williams just had a quote recently when he was talking about how playing a game in the NLL every weekend is like, it feels like you're getting in a car crash every weekend with the physical toll that it takes on your body. And I think that there should be, and a lot of people I think would agree with this, that there should be a higher price for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think lacrosse players have similar mindset to hockey players in that they're just so thankful that they're playing and they're getting to play a game and stuff like that. But we really need to value ourselves more and understand that we're providing value to these ownerships. There's a great opportunity for these owners. There's a lot of runway. They could do very well in the future, and we just need to recognize and understand that we are providing value, and to be proud of that and put your foot down, try to get what you deserve.
How about ad space? What's going on with the ad space? I was watching some games obviously this weekend.
Yeah, Tyler wants to get a sponsor on his jersey, and he wants to keep the revenue. That's his idea. That's not his idea.
But I was
that's something
watching.
you
I was watching games and commercial break, NLL emblem, just floating on the screen for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's bananas.
And sometimes the broadcaster's voice
Sometimes,
sneaking in.
Yeah, I've seen 2 commercials, the Powell one and
Arrow
the
or
Arrow
Eero.
one. Yeah.
I don't think that's a PA problem though.
No,
Well,
it's something because we talk with the league every Tuesday. So week to week issues are brought up every Tuesday morning. It's usually 30 minutes, an hour, and we talk through everything, give updates, and that's something that gets brought up often. And I don't know much about broadcasting. It's definitely above my pay grade, but there's some sort of issue with trying to get the NLL's broadcast into the TSN feed, at least up here, for the commercials. I don't know exactly.
I heard this before, that TSN is basically saying that it's like the NLL broadcast can't show the commercials because of it's some bandwidths or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, like, Ty could figure this out.
Yeah, we gotta send Jamie down
Like, how
south.
come TSN can't figure this out, but like our producer probably could figure this out tomorrow? I don't get that.
I think the same thing. There's got to be a solution.
Going at the league, going at the IT guys.
Yeah.
And it's not me doing it. I want that
That's
to be
fine.
known.
I will say I've been watching March Madness a little bit on TSN Plus, and they have the same hot mic issue that we have.
Really?
I hear them practicing heading during when there should be commercials. I hear them practicing their intros and stuff like that. So I mean, don't know
that's
if
college
TSN
sports.
Plus-
That's college sports. We're professionals.
That's
At the end of the day,
My
they're probably making more money than us.
I think a little more money's
Yeah.
being made at March Madness,
Yeah.
Tyler.
My favorite is when I'll tune into an NLL Plus broadcast, but I'll turn it on like maybe a half an hour before the scheduled start time, because you get the loading screen of it. It says like the stream will start once the game is beginning or whatever. But sometimes they'll start the stream early, and you get to watch the broadcasters do a couple takes of their intro. And then then the visual is just like fans walking into an arena, and then later on when the broadcast actually starts, you get to see the take that they
Yeah, it cuts back to them. It's like the pre-flight check-in.
Yeah.
That's C-Rob's kryptonite. That
Yeah.
that space between.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the Jamie Dowick thing here for a second, because like it's a very interesting dynamic that was already brought up, that like you and Jamie are very close. Like it was mentioned that he was at your wedding and stuff. In an article that I was reading earlier today from 2021, when you were still with The Rock, you mentioned that you were able to bounce ideas off of Jamie. I don't know if it was like off the record or if it was just like not necessarily in an owner to PA vice president kind of way, but maybe just like kind of off to the side, you would bounce ideas back and forth to each other. Is that stuff that you and Zach do with other people in the league, like other owners or other representatives, before you go forward with trying to campaign some of these ideas?
We try to, but at the same time, you want to deal with the league officials for the most part. I don't really like working around their representatives or things like that. And I have a good relationship with Brett. We both pick up the phone and call each other whenever if we have an issue. And so I honestly rely on his feedback quite a bit.
You're talking Brett Frude,
Brett
correct?
Fruit, yeah, the commissioner.
No, he's talking Brett McIntyre.
For the listeners that may not know, my dad,
Brett the Hitman Hart.
my dad is going to listen to this and be like, "Who's Brett? Brett who?"
That's a good point.
Delbs.
The commissioner.
Yeah, Brett Frude. Yeah, I think he's doing a good job representing them, and I try to go through him for the most part. But yeah, back in the day, Jamie and I talked more often just because we were around each other a lot about everything, really. And, where's the league going to go? How do we get there? What are the issues that he's seeing, et cetera? And it's interesting, especially an individual owner's perspective, not somebody who owns the arena or the parking lot or things like that. So it's interesting because there's a total different set of issues for those ownership types compared to those who own the arena and own the NHL teams and everything else. So it's good to get that perspective.
This might be a hot take, but do you, I guess it's like, if you can't hang with the big dogs, then like sell to the big dogs. Is that like something that we have on our side? It's like we look at, Stan Kroenke, and we look at Joe Tsai, we look at some of these billionaires who are really the changes in salaries are not going to be, it's another drop in the bucket for them. Is it something where like some of these, and I don't want to say less fortunate because they're still very fortunate, but lesser fortunate owners who are like, hey, we can't afford this. It's like, well, then sell to someone who can.
I think just like as much as we would love to have all NHL ownership and all of that, I think if there's that many people lining up, we would just sell expansion teams, right? I get the concept and idea, but there's a lot of these kind of independent owners, we'll call them, that have kind of built the league, right? You look at Jamie, you look at Stiers, you look what Joe Tsai's doing, right? I guess Joe Tsai's kind of NBA background, but it's just kind of guys like that built the league, and ideally they can grow with us and all of that. But at the end of the day, if we had all these NHL owners and all these NFL owners, we would have already sold an expansion team to them, because I don't think the fee is anything that they're blinking an eye at.
Yeah, both really good points. And I was going to say this similar thing to you, Delbs, in that, yes, I think it's important, and the more sort of, I guess you can call them blue chip ownership, or, the owners with a really good business model by owning the arenas, those are great. And we need to continue to get more of them involved, because they have the model that's profitable easier, I guess you can say. They can scale things. But we do have to recognize the fact of, how did we get here? We got here on the backs of a lot of these individual owners who have, suffered, which we assume are losses over a number of years to get us here. And I think it's always important to recognize and remember that when you're at the table. So that's something we always keep in mind. And, at some point there is going to be a bit of separation, and I don't know how that's going to play out, but, yeah, I just think it's an important thing to value.
That might actually be a good segue into this next one. You might have partially answered these questions, but I reached out to some other like media people to see if they had any PA related questions they wanted to throw your way. And this is kind of a two-parter, but it says, are there any concerns with the PA when it comes to some unstable franchises? And then, is there any concern that if another team has to fold, there would be more lost jobs? Any considerations for making? Well, I guess that's a. Okay, I'll stop there because that was a third question. But yeah,
do you have any fun questions, Tino?
Make the people laugh, Delbs.
Yeah, dance monkey.
Not your circus clown.
Obviously there's always that concern. Panther City was a really difficult situation. They were fighting an uphill battle. If the betting legislation didn't pass, which it didn't, they were in very tough shape. But they had an unbelievable betting deal in place that made them profitable, as far as we can tell, over a couple of years based on, what they've announced that betting deal was. So there's always concerns there, but at the end of the day, like, you need to be drawing fans. You can't have all your eggs in one basket. We care a lot about jobs and maintaining those jobs. We don't want to see teams fold, but at the end of the day, player salaries are not what's causing teams to fold. It's everything else outside of that. I think perhaps we were selling teams without giving the full picture in the past, and maybe that skewed some people's models when they modeled out, hey, when will I expect to be profitable, or things like that. And if you don't have the full picture, you're not going to put together the right model, and then you're going to be shocked come year 3 that you've had, X amount of losses or something like that. So heading into the future, I know our new commissioner, Brett Frood, is being a lot more due diligent, more open, more honest, trying to get the right ownership who understand what they're getting themselves into.
You want to hint at any future expansions? Nashville? ?
Nashville. I would like Nashville. I haven't been.
Yeah, everyone would like Nashville.
Would you come out of retirement if Nashville?
I don't know if retirement.
He would
was
come
my
out of
choice.
retirement, but I don't know if they're taking him.
Hey,
I'm sure they need an
available.
equipment manager.
This is another. This is another question that I know people are going to be it's kind of a hot button issue. Speaking of the guy in the middle of the couch, but how
Ban the franchise tag.
well, I mean that's not the exact question, but how does, with these upcoming CBA negotiations, I would imagine that that's another priority is how to avoid the situation that just went down with Delbs from kind of last summer to ultimately him getting traded to Vancouver. How do we make sure that doesn't happen again? Like I've said before, I know like Delbs has rolled his eyes at me in the past, but like last year at the very least, like he was a face of the league. Like the league had the banner, the next major league on their social media, and he was one of the players in that poster. So obviously not a good look to have him just sitting, not playing. How does that not happen again?
Free agency would have to change, and that doesn't cost the owners a dime. So whether there's a limit to how many times you can be franchise tagged, maybe there's X percentage increase every time you're franchise tagged, or just the ability to reject it after a certain amount of time, because with the new UFA age and years of service, the last CBA, it went from 30 years old and 6 years of service to where now you can have just 8 years of service. You don't have to be 30, which is what happened to Delbs. And he had already been in the league for 10 years. And then Calgary could hold his rights for, was it 5 more years?
Yeah, it would have been like 14 seasons before I could walk.
Yeah, and that's just insane.
It would have been my career potentially.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not.
You said last week you'd play 10 more seasons.
I didn't.
What are you
It
talking
doesn't
about?
sound as good when I say that I can play another 15 years. Trying to sell my value to the owners. Still haven't signed my extension here, Tyler.
Yeah, but we're sitting in your signing bonus. Tampering, Reid.
I was going to say this coach has had a lot of work.
Yeah, just on the one side too. Reid's side's a little higher right now. Hasn't been worn in by me.
But I was going to say, in my opinion, it's more of just I guess, sort of a holistic way of looking at it. If you're not earning a living wage, so most of us are subsidizing our lacrosse salaries with a full-time Monday to Friday job. If you're not earning a living wage, then you need to have some say in where you play. You need to have some mobility because like Delb said, he's got a career, he's got a job. Like he needs to focus on that. And if we're not earning enough money, we need to prioritize other parts of our life. And so it's difficult kind of boxing us into holding our rights for this long while also not earning a living wage. If you're in the NHL and you get traded, you move your life, you're still making, $1 million in this.
Yeah,
place,
you'll wipe your
okay.
tears with $5 million.
Yeah, exactly. So it's difficult. It's a difficult situation to be in, having such bad free agency while also not really like earning enough.
I think it also extends people's careers, like having the ability to play in a home market and stuff. Like your wife isn't upset with you if you have kids. Obviously, guys who have professions that are making decent money and employers that aren't really at a certain point, you can't say, I want to go play hero on the weekends, right? Like they want you there and they want you focused. So I think there's quite a few guys that might milk out 1 or 2 more years than they would have previously played if they could get home.
And I was just sniffing free agency. I just became a UFA, and then it was just, I was done. So that's pretty common.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is by the time you're a free agent, like you're not at peak value.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one more serious question, and then we can move on to some more fun. We got some listener questions as well that I'll get Jamie to pass me the phone.
Jamie,
Frick
Jamie,
McMichael's in there.
Jamie Dowick or Jamie?
Our Jamie behind the
Jamie.
camera.
Frick got one?
Frick's got a question, yeah.
What's his name?
Elliot Frickman.
Wait, no, the Frickstradamus or whatever.
Frickstradamus,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was, dude. Oh,
This is his
man.
old stomping ground.
Yeah, he was in the basement.
Yeah.
He wants to make clear it's a suite. He wasn't just in the basement.
It's Harry Potter room down
Yeah,
under
him
the
and
stairs.
Joel Watson.
I can't. Yeah, if we ever do like a live trade deadline thing, like we have to get him in for it.
We'll have to fly him in, the Frickman. Yeah.
He knows a lot. I can't
Yeah,
believe
he's just
it.
got 5 flip phones going.
Okay, the Tyson Bell incident, the 7-game suspension that went down, the unfortunate thing from Calgary. I don't want to
Calgary.
Colorado, excuse me. Without going into, I mean, people have seen the video. Like, I don't want to like completely dissect it, but I just, the question is, what was the PA's role in that whole scenario when it came down to like the aftermath and the suspension and everything?
So our role and our process was the exact same as if somebody, high sticked somebody on the floor and got a game misconduct or something. So we review it. Our job is to represent the player against employee or employer discipline. So if we felt that whatever discipline the league handed out to him was too much, then we would appeal it and go to a hearing and see what the arbitrator kind of had to say, or hearing officer had to say about that. So the same as any other discipline, analyze it. We didn't really have something direct to compare it to, so we used situations that happened in other leagues. Obviously, some of those other leagues are 82-game seasons, so we used as percentages of games and things like that. And ultimately, we felt that the league's discipline they handed out in that situation was actually fair. And so we did not appeal it.
That's a good answer.
There you go, Mr. Lawyer. So and then one more here as well, and then we'll go to the listener
Fun
question.
questions, Tino.
This one's not as serious of a one. But when I was scrolling through on the PA website, make the people laugh. Then Del, spell the sponsors behind you without looking backwards.
I can't. No chance. Extreme, I think, is spelt different, isn't it?
You tell me. It's behind you.
No,
Don't look.
I'm not looking. I can see it in there.
Starts with an X.
Yeah, exactly. It's not spelt like a normal extreme.
When I was going through the PA website earlier today, I noticed like Drew Belgrave is still listed as San Diego's representative, and it kind of piqued my interest because he was part of a trade. He's now on the Desert Dogs. How quickly does the PA in that case need to get a new representative for San Diego once he moves on?
I gotta update the website. One of my hats.
Yeah, you do.
My least favorite hat.
Yeah, bringing up a touchy subject there.
Oh, man.
Who's the new one? Pooley take over the role, or
Zach's actually in the process of figuring out who the next guy is.
why
But,
is Zach not
but
just
when your president's down there, you're not in as big of a rush to get a replacement.
Who's going to answer the questions?
Speaking of updating websites, the NLL team shop, maybe we brought this up before, but it has Panther City still on there.
On the team shop, to buy gear?
Yeah. New York Riptide still on there.
Yes.
No Ottawa on there.
What?
NLL team shop.
Okay, well they're in worse shape than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just one guy.
Is that stuff discounted at least?
No, full price.
No
Oh,
way.
yeah, full
It's
price.
kind of nice you can still get that stuff.
The Riptide had a good jersey.
Yeah, Jeff
Those
Teat was wearing
Seafoam-
it in his headshot on TV.
Still is on the website, I'm pretty sure.
Bananas.
So we try to get somebody into the role as soon as possible. There's often a rep and an alternate. So the alternate can kind of step in while the player rep isn't available. And the team technically votes, but oftentimes it just somebody gets more pushed in that position and the rest of the team agrees with it. So it's technically supposed to be a vote, but it doesn't always work that way.
Volunteers tribute.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. And actually Drew went to Vegas after Jacob Rouet was released. And so
Filled the role.
and then Barkley got traded to, and Barkley was the alternate rep. So, and then he got traded to San Diego. And so Drew just all of a sudden became the Vegas rep, and he was on San Diego all year. So I don't know. The player reps get traded more than I feel like the average guy.
Wonder if there's a correlation there. Wonder if they're getting traded because of that.
I always wonder that too.
All right, Jamie behind the camera. Can we get some player or some fan questions here real quick before we move on to the recaps that are going to make their way back into the show?
Yeah, the recaps are so back after Kinger tried to bully Tyler out of it.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it was like if
Tyler-
like a bunch of guys were against it, or
Yeah.
if it was just a few.
Yeah, Tyler's a little concerned that he's being too harsh on the rest of the league.
Did you get fined?
No,
Oh.
you would find me, wouldn't you?
No, I meant like within your own team.
Oh no.
Dude, my first
Don't
week,
bring that up.
Beller
My
got
fir-
fined for everything.
my first week in van, lots of fines.
Oh yeah, you
I got
missed the
fined
whole
for
year.
missing training camp.
Yeah, everybody at the trade deadline got like a max fine for
Yeah.
missing all the games
Yeah.
before.
Classic.
Okay, first question here comes from Nick Rogers. It says this is part 2 of the question, but I don't see his first part. So we're just going to go with part 2, Nick Rogers. What is the idea behind the franchise tag?
Control players, I would say. Yeah.
All right, short and sweet.
Control time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just to control someone's rights.
This is a good one from Chris Bushi. I heard he's a big fan of the show. Does Reid
big fan.
Player up.
Does Reid know if Brad Cree's head is considered big or small?
That's a good question. I can't believe anybody would think it would be small.
He's a big human. It's got to be
Yeah.
a big head, no?
Yeah, he's a big guy with a bigger head. Yeah,
He's like Big Blue.
Yeah, Big Blue. Yeah, yeah.
good guy though. You know, he extended his stay out here when they came to Vancouver to stay for my daughter's birthday party. So yeah,
Good guy alert.
yeah.
Joel Watson wants us to ask
Speaking of
you
the devil,
The rig.
wants us to ask you about sock wrestling.
Yes, good sport. Had one of my most crushing defeats down in Vegas, actually.
what is sock wrestling? Tino was asking me. I was like, I have no idea what sock wrestling is.
It was new to me too. Basically, you wrestle with somebody, but the way you win is by taking their sock off before they take your sock off. And so we were back at the team house one of the nights, pretty late, and myself and Nick Ellerton were sock wrestling, and we were out in the backyard, and I felt like I controlled it all, the whole situation.
I had
And-
control time.
Yeah, I totally did, and I ripped his sock off, and I'm celebrating. I'm like, yeah, I won. And then he's still kind of going and pulls my sock off, and he goes, I won. And I'm like, how? I have your sock here. And he goes, that's only half my sock. And I had ripped his sock in half, and I only had the very tippy tip of his sock, and the rest of the sock was still on his foot.
Oh my god.
And he actually framed the sock, the tip of his sock, and gave it to me next training camp. It's sitting in my basement.
You still have
in a glass frame. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'll send you guys a photo.
What a good gift.
That's amazing.
Good contribution by Joel there.
That's great.
I kind of forgot about that.
We'll bring him in for the trade deadline.
He's
show.
another insider.
Aside from you, Reid, smartest guy in the NLL you've ever played with. Are you the only lawyer? Like, are there other lawyers in the NLL?
Jory Jones,
Yeah.
although
Yeah, I think he is a lawyer.
he's not playing anymore, is he?
Yeah, maybe not.
No.
I think he works with Danica, Shane's wife, no?
Phil Mazuka just got
tell you.
into law school too, and Connor Robinson's applying. I
That's our boy, Krob.
don't know. That's a tough question. There's a lot of smart people in different ways.
Lots
I
of
feel like
doctors.
Jesse
Lots of doctors.
Jesse Gamble's pretty bright. Mitch DeSnew is pretty bright, and I just feel like I'm missing people.
Curtis Manning.
And it's
Curtis
rude.
Manning, yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't play with him though.
Sick guy.
Notable admissions from both the guys sitting beside you on the couch. So
Oh,
Yeah, well,
Oh, I thought
never
you
played
meant-
with us.
I-
Never
yeah,
played with us. Otherwise, you'd say me.
play together in the NLL. I thought you meant.
who is the best golfer in the PA golf tournament?
I'm pretty sure Mitch was pretty good last year. Is Brandon Goodwin good too? I think he was good too.
Yeah.
honestly.
If Brandon Goodwin and Mitch Jones were golfing together, I can tell you the scores were not accurate. I swear I got hole in one.
I swear to God. Oh, I swear to God.
Oh, sorry. All time side tangent right here. Davey Sheldon with the Vancouver Warriors, very good golfer. Used to run like golf tours, and I guess he's golfing with Mitch Jones at one of like their year-end things. And he says, Jonesy, quickly hold the camera. I think I'm gonna hold this one. And Jonesy, sure enough, takes his phone. Blah blah blah. Davey Sheldon steps up, hole in one. Right?
No way.
way.
Goes to grab the phone from Jonesy. Jonesy took a selfie the whole time. So it's apparently just Jonesy's face going nuts. Like just such an all-time.
We need
Jonesy
that video.
play. Davey Sheldon was just so sour about it.
Oh, that's good.
I'll say the weirdest golfer's got to be C-Rob though, because he around the green, I think he uses his left hand and has lefty clubs, like putts and chips with his
Such a
left,
crop thing.
but then drives and stuff with his right.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's out of control.
Sorry, we're on like a huge golf kick here. Another story I remember Pacer talking about. He went golfing with Dobes, and Dobes just like grabs Pacer's righty wedge or something.
I was using Challen Rogers, like Grandpa's old, like his first. It was like his first set of clubs.
Yeah, I know the set.
And I'm a righty. Dobes is a lefty. I go with Dobes golfing at the Westwood like 12 hole, and I'm not good. Like I'm using Challen Rogers Grandpa's first set of clubs. Like I'm not a golfer at this time. Not that I am now, but
Nothing's changed.
yeah, nothing's changed. But I'm like hitting them. I'm chunking everything, like missing the ball, whatever. And Dobes is like, oh, let me give those things a try. I'm like, Dobes, these are righty. Like you're lefty. He's like, oh, whatever. Just stripes it like 10 feet from the pin. I was like, what the hell is this? Turns out Dobes, his dad, like just didn't want to hang out with him as a kid. So he would drop him off at the golf course all day. Like that was his babysitter, was the golf course.
Play 36.
I was going to say, I wonder if he got forced to play righty because, growing up, some parents would say there's not enough lefty golf clubs. You got to learn how to play righty. So that's how I first started trying to play righty, and it was a nightmare. So maybe he did a little bit of that.
Maybe, but he's got but most of his clubs in his bag are from like competitions, like golf competitions.
Oh wow!
Yeah, longest drives at like corporate events and stuff.
Oh man,
He's just stepping up and putting his back into it.
Yeah, just a freak athlete.
Never seen anything like that.
He's got to be studied. He's got to be studied in a
He is
lab.
Very impressive athlete.
Yeah, like that's what happens when the human body uses 140% of its capabilities.
Yeah,
He's limitless.
Yeah, like what's that Lucy
Lucy,
movie?
yeah, where she
But
turns
it's not
into
his
like
brain;
a
it's just his body.
sludge.
Man, he even rolled his ankle super bad. It looked like during one of the games earlier, and he's in a lot of pain. And sure enough, he's back out there. He's such a warrior.
There's
man.
so many lines with Dobes. It's like a tight muscle is a fast muscle. Can't tear it if it's already torn. Like
You don't bench press a ball into the net.
Yeah,
That's
like-
his favorite one.
like he's our like old school hockey grinder.
I like
That's such a good. Like, you can't
It's so
bench
good.
press a
He's
ball.
like, I've never seen anybody bench press a ball in the
Yeah,
net.
training camp the 1 year he gets under the bar and he just kind of like straightens his elbows a bit, doesn't even lift it. Nope, done.
like Shane Jackson. If I was supposed to be lifting weights, they'd be light.
Okay, next question. We're just on like a 30-minute tangent.
Have they considered adding relegation to the NLL in the next CBA? What do you think?
I don't think that's.
Who would they go play for? The Grizzlies?
Yeah, ALL West.
Yeah, I don't know. No,
Yeah. It's all fun and games till we're playing home games out of the field house in Langley.
I think there's
The
maybe
Coquitlam Forum.
Yeah, still can't sell it out.
there might be an opportunity for some affiliate type stuff going on with maybe the ALL teams, and maybe people can go up and down and stuff like that.
Or my senior C team.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think there could be a cool opportunity there for something like that, but yeah, I don't know about just canning it.
It's not soccer.
Who would win in a fight, Reid or Tor?
Probably Tor. Yeah, it would be Tor.
So another side tangent. Rumor has it that you were a biter as a kid.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was your go-to fighting tactic. So
I think if I got too desperate,
Reid like sits
I didn't
here
like
like,
losing.
maybe Tor is pretty gritty. Like Tor is gritty, but I don't know. Like the scouting report is apparently you're willing to do what you need to do.
That's the part of the sock wrestling story that you left out. The sock was ripped because you're
He bit it off.
I've crossed the line a couple times. I've definitely lost my marbles here and there, but I just think Tor will just
also
more,
got a bit of snap
more
in him.
intense. Yeah, I've grown less intense, and he's grown more intense.
Last question here, and Delbs, this one's actually for you specific. I mean, like, unless we have a couple spelling requests here, if you want.
No, I said I won't do it.
Okay, I mean, there's some good words. Who is the most deceiving shooter in the league?
Lyle, because he scored 4 on me last week. I would say maybe like from that, maybe Randy Stats. Like I think he's pretty. He's got that leaner. He does a lot of different things, and I like any guy that's not like shooting 100 miles an hour all the time. Like they got the touch. Tyler,
Jesse's pretty deceptive too.
yeah, Jesse is, but Jesse doesn't shoot as much. Like
Yeah.
Jesse's just like a pass first. He's like I always jokingly call like Jesse the big fundamental. because he just kind of like, he doesn't look like he's like doing too much always, but then all of a sudden you're just like, how did this guy get to the net?
What's it like with Tom shooting on you?
He's a freak.
Yeah.
Tom, like I've jokingly said to Tom before, every time he switches hands, I'm just like, please don't just shelf this. Like all I can think he's going down the wrong sidearm, but he's a freak. I think he's very good at wrapping around defenders, and you kind of, I think you touched on it. Like you watch him practicing, he's got kind of like those like football pylons, and he's just pinging corners around them. So there's a lot of talented players in our league.
I remember him coming to the Rock the same time as me, and he hadn't played box lacrosse before. And the first few times out of the box, he was not that accurate, but he just got better and better and better, and now he's just a freak of nature when he's shooting. He's like leaning back, going top. Geez, I don't know.
So something I love about like my brother-in-law has been getting more and more into lacrosse, and he went to go watch a couple years ago. One of the years Toronto was in Van, and Schreiber scored a goal. Like he switched hands to go lefty and just ripped one top corner. And I got a text from my brother-in-law, and like he was blown away from that. And that's from somebody that's like getting new into watching the NLL, and that was something that even he was like, that was crazy.
I was at that game with my father-in-law, and he was like well, what's the big deal? It's like, that's the big deal is how easy that just looked.
Yeah, that's also like Delps just basically said it, but that's something that I think the casual fan like doesn't comprehend. Like we see Tom Schreiber throw a reverse, like picks up a loose ball, throws a reverse backhand dart across the crease, and it's like, yeah, it's on SportsCenter or whatever, like the top plays of the week, but it's like you don't do that. You know what I mean? Like that's a extremely hard play to make.
It's like the scene in Savvy Pro. Foul. No, too fast.
Yeah. Like there are certain things that players are doing. Like we talk about this deceptive shooting, and again, the casual fan can't like comprehend how Jeff Teet's getting a goalie to move one way and then he's stinging top right. And it's like, yeah, because he's like exceptionally good at what he's doing here. And there are things like that happen every game where I think if people understood our game a little bit more, they would start to respect what some of the guys can do a little bit more as well.
What do you think about Jammer?
Jammer's good. I think Jammer's good, especially when he gets over the top to that wrong side and he has that
twister.
But like he was like, not that he still isn't killer. There was a time where it was just automatic. Like it was like a crippler.
Josh Byrne, like over the top twister
like
far
there's
side.
So
that's
many,
a good shot.
There's so many sick players. Like
when
that's
he's coming
the thing.
across the top and he twists it. How do you, as a goalie, do you not go short side?
I don't know. But there's also guys that every once in a while, like they like, you know, like weird shout out like Cole Schaefer. Like he used to always come down the wrong side to try to twist back.
Yeah.
Like, so there's tons of little things like that you can kind of pick up. But you look through some of the guys in the league, like Eli McLaughlin. I think we were joking about his twister. Like everyone's kind of got their own thing, but you start to really respect like how good it is and how hard it is to play offense in our league.
In senior, Pete Tellis put together a highlight reel of Eli's twisters, trying to get me to learn how to do the twister.
Did you learn?
Couldn't quite.
Yeah, better chance of walking on water.
I'm just gonna run the goalie and hopefully score.
KG's on.
Vinny was watching the tape too. He's like, Pete, what do you mean I don't just jam 5-hole?
I think you went 5-hole with that one.
Those are my favorite shooters as well, is like the ones where there's a scouting report, like you know how they're going to shoot more times than not, and they still like they do it and they beat you. I'm like blown away by that every time.
When you're standing watching the other team's warm-ups, are you studying the shots that guys are doing, or do you do the studying before that?
You do the studying way before that. I think it's more so you just like see what it looks like in person. You know what I'm saying? Like you just kind of get like that's where the ball's coming out roughly out of their stick, but you're not really looking for where they're aiming in warm-up when they're trying to score one before they go into the dressing room isn't what they're probably going to go to in a game.
Do you think you study more than other goalies, or?
I would say that I study more. I don't think I'm too dependent on it. I'm saying probably like there's a lot of guys that put in a ton of time. Like Dauber's like that. Like he's really big into it. Frank's big into it. I know I've heard Vino has like a book of like just all the shots and goals all time.
That's crazy.
It's kind of like his Bible. So I think it's a necessity, but I think most guys aren't like, oh, this guy only shoots short side high, so I'm staying short side high. Like you have to react and play goalie.
I guess I've shot on you enough that I just feel like you know where I'm shooting a lot of the time, but maybe that's just a me thing.
The mental battle.
Maybe I gotta be more deceptive.
Pacer, I think it's time for some recaps here. Hey, you ready for it?
Here we go.
And yeah, we got a soundtrack to add to it. So let's make sure he's ready to go. And
Is it just going to continuously play?
it's just gonna if it stops, hit the button again. But it's
You have to. Is it set to the right volume?
if it's not, we'll adjust.
Yeah.
It's that dial that's closest to you, or the slider. No. Sorry, the
What
slider
week was
closest
this?
to you.
What week was this for the NLL?
Week 2 for me.
Week 18?
Sorry. Before we get going,
My head went to 18 right away. But I don't know if that's right or
I
not.
think it was 17. The concussion test. They're like, "What's the date today?" And I was like, "Dude, I couldn't even tell you. It's a Thursday." Good start, eh? Good start.
Thursday. They're like,
It was
it's-
week
Yeah,
7.
They're
they're
like,
like-
it's Friday.
Yeah, they're like, "We can't get this guy on the floor."
Week 17, by the way.
Week 17. Okay.
That's
Okay, you
good.
ready?
You tell
set
me
a-
when.
You set a low bar though. That's good for the country.
Yeah, like it's like he got smarter.
He's improved.
You ready?
Week 17 in the NLL. The Black Bears headed to Halifax for a shootout with the Red Hot Thunderbirds. It didn't matter who Halifax put in net. Jeff Teat was going to pull on his stick and finish all over the top right corner. Graham Hossack joins his brother Matt as a favorite for Defensive Player of the Year, netting a hat trick and just being bigger, faster, stronger than everybody else. I believe I saw Higgins asking for a sub at one point as he faced 75 shots, but the only thing coming off the bench was more Halifax goals. Thunderbirds 17, Black Bears 16. Off to Buffalo, where Vegas decided it would be more fun to give the Bandits an 8-goal head start. Most people turned this game off at halftime. Even Banditland was looking for something else to do on a Friday night. But Vegas looked like they had some of that casino oxygen in the locker room, and it felt like there was going to be a little bit of March Madness as they stormed back to make things interesting. Even though Buffalo looked beatable, this game was never really close. Bandits 13, Desert Dogs 10. Vegas tried to hit the jackpot, but Buffalo was holding all the aces. In Toronto, the Rock were looking for answers from co-owner and team MVP Josh Dowick as they started the game looking like the Incredible Hulks, heading into the locker room with an 8-2 lead. Brendan O'Neill scored a backhand that found its way onto your For You page. Brad Krieg couldn't find the buckle on his helmet, and Chris Pratt Bushi scored a superhero-worthy goal from behind the net. Toronto has come back from the dead, just like the Avengers, and are looking like a tough team to play as we head into the home stretch. Rock 15, Wings 8. In Albany, a rematch of last year's finals did not disappoint. The post-deadline Firewolves are for real, and the toll of back-to-back championships looks like it's finally catching up to Buffalo's veteran core. Dyson Williams, who looks like the Rookie of the Year, sealed the deal in overtime and left the rest of the league wondering if Albany can make another run. Firewolves 11, Bandits 10. In Cowtown, the return of Zach Currier was not very welcomed as the Seals offense swam circles around Rosie's crease. The trio of righties, Berg, McIntosh, and Hellier combined for 27 points. Rookie phenom Braden Maea scored a nasty backhand. Tanner Cook tallied 7 points while King and Dobie added 5 of their own. The referees spent more time reviewing calls than my fragile ass spent sitting on the couch this weekend. Playing at home continues to be Calgary's Achilles hamstring, and the Seals head into playoff push looking like they could be serious contenders. Seals 16, Roughnecks 12. In Vancouver, 2 of the best goalies in the league were playing in different games, as this one was a competition of who can save the ball less. Focus calls were at an all-time high as the teams went back and forth splitting 10 power play goals. Keegan balled out, tallying 12 points, and Del Bianco finished the night with an amazing 77 save percentage. Georgia's trip to Vancouver did not go as planned, but they probably had a good time at Cactus Club in the Roxy. A 7-7 Georgia team makes this playoff race even more entertaining. Warriors 15, Swarm 13. We finish in Ottawa, where Mark Gardonio refed his 400th career game and got to watch Jeff Teat continue his terrific weekend with another 9 points. Colorado was banged up, and Wardo was welcoming the newest goalie into the world. Ottawa gets a much-needed win, while Colorado seems to be holding on to a playoff spot by a thread. The Bears might be hibernating until next winter, but the Mammoth might be going extinct if things don't turn around fast. Black Bears 14, Mammoth 9. And that's your weekend recap.
Yeah, baby.
Hell yeah.
That was
So
pretty
bad. So bad. Just the passion in his voice.
That was well done.
In radio or in broadcasting, when you like finish right as the music stops or right before like the drop
That's the money shot.
It's called hitting the post. You were almost bang on hitting the post.
I almost hit the post.
Yeah, there were some good ones in that one.
You weren't lying about the Calgary-San Diego game. That was so long.
So long.
Was there 3 majors reviewed and what,
Yeah.
7 goals reviewed or
Mhm.
something?
There's a lot.
Holy cow.
It
Good
was a
beer
lot.
sales though. Good beer
Yeah.
sales.
The dome foams were
We're just
selling,
buzzing.
Yeah, selling
Meg
off the
was in
shelf.
my ear to get Dairy Queen. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they're reviewing a goal. I
Yeah.
got a window here. And I left.
Meanwhile, they're
Came back, and
they're-
like 2 minutes had passed in the game.
I have 3 to 14 minutes to get back.
Crazy.
Okay, this has been a pretty long and a pretty different episode. Like this has been pretty informative.
yeah,
which
very
I think
serious
is
start.
Thanks. But before we wrap up, I want to like I have the NL standings in front of me because I think like I always like looking at if the playoffs started today kind of thing. I always find this really interesting because if the playoffs did start today, there's some pretty electric matchups as things currently stand. Buffalo would play Georgia, which would be a rematch of last year, which like if anybody doesn't remember, like Buffalo, that game went to overtime. Like Georgia almost won that and almost took down the Bandits. Saskatchewan would play Vancouver, which Jimmy Quinlan has been super vocal about how he just hates the Warriors. Like he loves playing against the Warriors. There would be a lot of bad blood in that matchup, I think. Halifax would play Rochester, so old Rochester versus new Rochester, pretty cool. And San Diego would play Colorado, which, I mean, speaking of Achilles, whatever you called it, I mean, San Diego has had a hard time getting over Colorado. So still a few weeks to go here, but some pretty electric matchups if the playoffs did start today.
Who would Calgary play? It's a joke. That's gonna be clickbait later.
Oh my god.
I'm going to play that on the Jumbotron.
Yeah, that's gonna be the clickbait. Ideally, we play each other in the playoffs,
That would be,
but there's a long way to go. We just got to get to the playoffs.
that story would write itself.
If you guys had to guess one team that would be in and one team that would be out from the current standings, what do you think?
Buffalo would be in. Maybe
And
Sass.
Las,
Sass,
on
Las
the
Vegas.
bubble.
Buffalo in, Las Vegas out.
Maybe I didn't phrase that right. One team that's currently in and one team that's currently out.
I think Albany looks kind of scary right now.
Yeah, they are heating up.
They're heating up and they have the experience. Like I foot
Hopefully,
in my mouth a couple weeks ago. I was like, I don't know why they're making all these trades. And then they haven't lost since.
Hopefully Simmons is okay. I saw you got
Yeah.
hurt.
I don't know. It's hard, man. Like it's good for the league that it's so tight, and it kind of seems like, other than one team, it seems like everyone's still in the mix. And
And the teams that were heating up kind of made that jump this last week to get into playoffs.
I think
it feels like
the other thing that's awesome is the teams that are jogging for spots in the playoffs play each other.
Yeah.
Before, like they're
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Last year, like the final couple of weeks, like Vancouver was going on that hot run. Like Rochester, basically, like it came down to the last game of the season, and it wasn't even their game. Like they were scoreboard watching essentially, and it got in. Like it's kind of the same thing this year, where it's gonna come down to the final week. I think.
Yeah, I think Calgary's in, Vancouver's out.
I mean,
It's my bet.
Yep.
opinions.
It's possible.
Yeah, it is possible.
I hope that gets played on the jump.
But I kind of mentioned it. Like whoever has to play Toronto, it's kind of like that's a scary matchup right now. Like they're pretty hot and they got guys that are buzzing. So
Yeah.
be tough to be like, oh, if we win this game, then we're in the playoffs. And you got Toronto. That sucks.
The other thing that's kind of interesting, like just looking from my old fan standpoint, is there's a lot of teams that are playing in kind of mean nothing games potentially, but they don't have their first round pick. They traded their first round pick, so they're still going to be going for blood. Like it's not like they're going to lay over and take it kind of thing or mail it in. So I think there'll be a lot of lacrosse that maybe it's not meaningful, but teams will make it entertaining.
Totally.
Yeah. It is interesting how a team can trade some really good players, get some really good picks back, and then they've almost been more successful. I feel like lacrosse is super unique like that. In a lot of other sports, you do that, you're in a lot of trouble. But lacrosse, there's still a way to compete.
I think we have, and this isn't like I don't know, losing a team sucks, but it created much more like parity in the league, and everybody that's in the league currently, like it's tough to make it there to begin with, but then you lose another 20 some odd guys from that league. Like that, there's nobody that's like that's a bad lacrosse player. Like how is he in this league? Like, everybody is legit and deserves to be there. So, I've joked about how Toronto did that fire sale and how their team looks so much different, but it doesn't really matter who you have on your team. Like you're still a pro lacrosse player, and it's going to be hard to compete against you.
Totally.
Yep.
All right, that feels like a good spot to wrap up on. I know Jamie behind the camera's got a lot of work ahead of him. This is this is another long episode. Reid, thanks for coming by. This has been in our top secret new recording location. Glad to have you as the first guest here and the second Reid in show history. That's pretty special.
First president. In show
Vice
history.
president.
We're gonna say.
Well, thanks for having me. Short commute. It was nice and easy.
And the first guest to bring a
House-
gift for the house.
housewarming gift. That's,
You want you want Delbs to sign one of those?
Yeah, it's just Reid never brought you a gift for your gym.
Yeah, true. I don't think he's been to the gym.
I got
I'm saying Reid Bowering.
Oh, Reid.
The other Reid.
Yeah, money.
Keegan gets an exemption because he's an employee.
Yeah.
I do have to go by though this Reid.
You're talking
What-
about
what
yourself in
Brett?
like third person. This Reid.
What Brett? That Brett?
All right. Well, thanks to Reid Reinholdt for stopping by. Another huge episode here of Morning Shootaround. Thanks to, of course, our sponsors, the Performance Center, Extreme Threads, and PANAM Contracting. Thank you to you, the viewers and the listeners, for joining us for another one, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Hell yeah.